Good morning everyone, I'm Chris and welcome back to another episode of Rift Amps. So making some progress on this Plexi 18 build. This is the one going to North America. I've got the board in now. I've done the rest of the chassis wiring that I could do before I drop the board in, and I've wired up the 3 preamp sockets and the output valve sockets here, and I'm just about to start working on the top side, which is the inputs, the controls, and the final grounds and things. So yeah, making really good progress on this one. What was I going to say? Can't remember now. But yeah, oh yeah, today's Saturday, so I've come in to actually crack on and make progress. So, but yeah, again, really happy with this. Might have a rethink about some of the routing on some of these preamp wires. Maybe not. We'll see how I feel. But yeah, really happy so far. It's looking good. Plexi 18. Back on the vintage amplifiers. This is a Sound City 50 plus head. The customer has just dropped it off. He picked this thing up on Marketplace for 150 quid, which is an absolute bargain if you ask me. Proper old school valve amplifier. This one, the reason it was so cheap is because there's no output. It doesn't make a noise. But for 150 quid, it's definitely worth a punt. It's got partridge transformers inside, so you know. And thankfully, these are quite easy to work on. So yeah, really looking forward to get stucking in to this particular model. The customer believes it's actually the bass spec, as in for a bass guitar, not the bottom spec. But he plugged it in, lights came on, but there's no output whatsoever. So let's see what we can find. So with the chassis removed from the cabinet, we can get a good look at what's going on inside. Initial observations is that this is completely original and hasn't been touched, or at least I haven't seen anything that would indicate otherwise. So yeah, really excited to get into this. So we've got big old partridge transformer here and one on the other side. You've got all of the controls and switches on a separate front panel, all wired in. Lots of dirt and dust and grime. That's all going to need cleaning and sorting. This is very interesting. I don't know what sort of preamp valves it's got. Let's pull the shields off and take a look. So we've got a Brimar in this position. Just gently wiggle this one out. It's another Brimar, ECC 83. Pop that back in. And these will be at Brimars as well then. Yeah, that's right, they are. And if we spin the unit round, we've got a pair of white print Mullard EL34 output valves. See, lots of dust in this chassis. Anyway, right, let's flip the chassis up and have a look inside. Okay, so classic tag bolt style construction. Very typical of this era. God, I haven't seen those in a while. Look, Bolgin branded fuse holders. Very cool. Okay, look at that. Look at that can cap. You see the cracking on top? I bet that resistor has got quite toasty. Let's have a look. What else can we see? Look at these ones as well. Yeah. So, from what I can see, this is all original. Nobody's been in here before. I can't see any solder joints that have been touched. But maybe a previous repairman was just very good. Yeah, look at the cracking on this cap too. Okay, so that's the inside of the chassis. So what does the customer want? Well, he wants the amplifier working, and he wants to be able to play it and gig it and use it. It's not just for a collection. So, as most of these components inside are original, I think it's worth doing a light restoration on this chassis, which means replacing the 1, 2, 3 can capacitors, this filter cap here as well, the bias cap, the electrolytic in the bias supply, and then once we've done that and make sure we've protected the transformers, because if one of those goes, you risk taking a transformer out, then we can go through and do the rest of the service and TLC job. But I don't think this amplifier is going to need as much work to get going as we thought. So he said when he did actually power it on, but there's no output, and he checked the HT fuse, which was blown. So what I've already done off camera is soft started this amplifier on the bench through the light bulb current limiter with a new HT fuse in, and I could not see any issue. I couldn't see any excessive current draw. All the voltages inside were stable. Even when I took it off the current limiter and gave it full mains voltage, everything seemed to be okay, although it was very, very hissy. It wasn't hummy, but hissy. So again, I think it just needs a good old service, a good old sort out, so he can use this amplifier and gig it and use it and play it, but get to do some research on it as well. I don't really know much about these, as I said before. We don't know what year it is, although we suspect it's early 70s. Should be able to date it off the pot codes of transformers, caps inside, things like that. So, but yeah, so I'm going to work out what caps I need to order, if any at all, if I haven't got stock. We'll make this amplifier safe to properly bench test and stress. Do the electrolytics first, then we can take it from there. But yeah, that's a Sound City 50 Plus that we suspect is early 1970s. Right, so I'm just about to start another Ainsley Lister signature build. This was the chassis that you saw me marking up the other day. I have finished drilling all of the holes. I've done the IEC socket, all of the other holes and bits and pieces. I've just taken all of the masking tape off. Just going to give the chassis a quick clean before I start to populate it. So I have a small spray bottle of IPA, isopropyl alcohol, that I use, and then just some kitchen towel. It's perfect. Just remove any residue from tape or anything like that. Make sure we get it as clean. You can see how dirty it is already. Yeah, just keeping it nice and clean. So next job is I've got to put all the sockets in, transformers, caps, things. You've seen me do this 100 times now. But yeah, that's the job. But I'm going to finish giving this a quick clean before I do so, and then we can crack on, because I want to get this one shipped as early on in January as possible. So yeah, let's make some progress. Monday afternoon, and this Plexi 18, this is the American voltage one, is complete. All the wiring's done, everything's sorted. All I've got to do is, valves are installed. Fire it up, give it a play test, burn it in, do all the usual stuff. I've got to do the other speaker socket as well, but that's easy enough to do. I always leave that till after I've done the heater wiring. But yeah, not a problem. Again, really happy with the way this one's turned out. Customer will be really happy with it, I'm sure. But it's 120 volt model, and I haven't got a US mains cable in stock. I thought I had one left, but I don't. So I've just had to quickly get one ordered up. So I can't test this actually until that one arrives. But yeah, anyway, that one's essentially done. Nothing more really to do on this. So you can put it on the shelf, crack on with the next job. But yeah, Plexi 18, 120 volt, job done. So I've just been doing this Ainsley board. I've just finished soldering everything into place, and I just wanted to show you the difference between, or show you what unleaded solder, or lead-free solder should I say, does to your soldering iron tips. You can see it's actually corroded a hole through the tip itself. Try and get that focused. You see that? Absolutely destroyed it, and that's probably about 4 months worth of soldering for me. I'll put a brand new one by the side so you can see the difference between a brand new one. This one went on yesterday. In fact, it's already starting. Oh no, that's just solder on there. But you can see, yeah, how, I don't know if corrosive is the word, but how damaging, that'll do, lead-free solder is to your soldering iron tips. It just goes through it, but that's the law. Have to use it, no excuses. Back on the Plexi 18, this is the US voltage 1. US mains cable turned up. I overnighted one from Amazon. I still can't find my other test one. I don't know where it's gone, but I've been through all my boxes and things, and I just can't find it. So I don't know what I did with it. Anyway, got this thing up and running on the bench. It runs great, but we taken the bias measurements. Do you remember we used a 180 ohm cathode resistor for which is shared by both valves? So when we do the sums, we're actually coming out at 83% dissipation. You want to be closer to 100 usually, and what I'd noticed on the oscilloscope was that the it was quite down on power. And when you go to half power mode, you can see it's not running, it's not conducting the full 360 degrees of the sine wave. So bias was too cold, so next step down was 150 ohms. That's moved us closer to 100%, 93%. Still not quite happy with it. I just thought I'd try the 120 ohms, which is the next E12 value down from that, and that's put me 103%. But bear in mind that figure does include your screen dissipation. So when you actually calculate it all, it's bang on where I want it. I'm getting the output sine wave that I want, the output that I want at the level of distortion I want. Everything's looking good. It sounds great. So really, really happy with this one now. Now, all the previous ones I've built needed the 180 ohm resistor, but remember this one I've got using a different brand of transformer, and it does put out it at operating conditions slightly lower voltage, so we have to compensate for that, which is very interesting. So that's the 120 volt model that's going to North America. The 230 volt model that's going to go to Finland. Be interesting to see what value we end up with for that resistor. But yeah, that one's running great. Really happy with that. Stick it on the shelf and wait for the cabinet. Just a quick progress update on this Ainsley Lister signature build. As you can see, I've now mounted the transformers and sockets, everything onto the bottom side as I usually do. Hardware is all in, all locking hardware, apart from the turrets, which, as you know, I use Loctite on, so they're not going to vibrate and rattle. That's the board that's been done. So once I do all my flying leads, my twisties, and bits and pieces like that, why am I being defeated? There we go. But that fits in there perfectly. And it looks great. So again, yeah, good progress on that one. This particular one isn't going to ship until early January, but as I said, I'm trying to make good progress on it, get some things done so I don't fall behind. But yeah, another AL Sig in the works.
Well, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much for watching once again. For those that are interested, alongside my Nipex side cutters, I also got the needle nose pliers. These are brilliant, but they don't have the return spring, so when you close it, they stay closed, unlike the snips, which reopen. So, but apart from that, they feel great in the hand. They are so well made; it's unbelievable. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed using these this week. So, for anyone that is interested, I am now a Nipex convert. So please give this video a thumbs up, like, subscribe, comments down below. I do read them all and I do try and respond to all of them as well. So if you've got something to say that's helpful and interesting, please put that down below. Tune in next week for our Christmas Eve special. Don't miss that. A bit more bonus footage coming up shortly. See you then.
So I'm just testing I'm going to test the EL34 Mullards from the Sound City amplifier. And so we've got the two of them to test. Now this tester I've got here, this Accurate Instrument 151, it's quite a basic tester. It tests for shorts and it checks emissions. It's useful for knowing whether the valve is usable or not, but it's not the most advanced tester in the world. I've got other testers as well, but this one's quite easy to use, and if you're in a rush or you just want a basic yes/no result, it's brilliant. Anyway, so before I put the Mullards in, I've got a brand new JJ EL34 in the unit already, so we can benchmark. This is a brand new, out of the box, directly from the supplier. And when I advance the sensitivity control, I've already done the shorts test. The valve's been on for about 5 minutes now, so I know it's up to temp. It's nice and warm. As I advance the sensitivity control, we should get a reading on the dial. And as long as we're somewhere in the good range, we're fine. So for this valve, I need to advance this dial to 30. And as you can see, the needle moved. And the brand new valve measures just over 60 on that scale, and it tests good. So that's our benchmark. Okay, we can remove the valve now. Back in its box. Right, so the first EL34. Now I've already done the shorts test on these, so I know there's not an internal short, and I know they're good for testing. Just plug that in. Shouldn't take too long for it to warm up because it's already had some time already. Just pop that JJ back in the box. Okay, so I can see the filament is on in the valve. Let's rotate the dial to 30. Rotate the control to 30, sorry. And you can see on this one, it's measuring about 38, 39 on the dial. So it is a worn valve. If we know a good one is up around 60, it's dropped a little bit. Does that mean this valve is unusable in an amplifier? No, absolutely not. You can use this. This will be absolutely fine. But it is getting towards the end of its life. Bring that down to 0. And then we'll test the other one. So we had a reading on that one of around 38, 39. Just let that one come up. You might see the filament come up, turn orange as it warms up. There you go. really they only need 20 odd seconds or so before they're good enough for testing. But we'll just give it a couple of seconds longer. Advanced hard dial to 30. And this one has gone up to about halfway on the dial. So we've got a reading of 50, 51, I would say. So this valve, from an emissions point of view, is performing much better than this one. Does that mean they're matched? Well, we won't know that until we measure them in circuit, because this tester doesn't measure those sort of characteristics. So again, might be usable, might be not, but I would be saying to the customer at this point, look, they've tested on the worn side. They're no longer testing brand new like a new valve does. You might consider putting in a new set of valves and keeping these as spares, or vice versa, just having a spare set of valves to hand. But there you go. Yeah, so that's testing the EL34s from the Sound City. I'm going to go through now and do all of the ECC83, the Brimars, but I don't suspect these will have... These things are bulletproof, they last forever, so I don't suspect we'll have a problem with those. Anyway, thanks for watching, see you next week.